Hey guys, West Coast Taco here, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today, guys, I am so pumped to be meeting up with several Tacoma owners just like yourself. Guys, the exciting part about this is they have no idea I'm even going to be present as they get, in my opinion, the #1 Toyota Tacoma mod that you can get for your Tacoma. And guys, I'm hoping that while this is going on, I'm going to catch their expressions and overall first reactions as they drive off in their freshly tuned Tacomas. And not only that, guys, at the very end of this video, I'm going to do a sit-down interview with Q, who is the Overland Torque Tuner in Southern California, guys. He's part of the Overland Taylor teams with TK421 Tuning, and I'm going to ask him a series of questions that you've had, that I've had, and it will hopefully clear up a lot of concerns many of us have had about the tune. All right, guys, let's do this. Matt, long time no see, man.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I know you were coming today.
Yeah.
So you're getting the tune.
Finally getting the tune, yeah.
Sweet, let's get her done.
Yeah, I was real excited.
All right, let's do it.
When I was watching your video too, it was really neat for me to kind of see someone who hadn't driven a tune truck and see the reaction.
Yeah.
And it made an impact even for us as tuners, you know, because we do this every day.
Very cool.
So having that point of view was really awesome for us guys as tuners. And so if we can start by getting your keys, please, and we'll do this tuning process. It's not a Jeep key, is it? The neat thing about me when I teach people is I have this fancy little turn off the Bluetooth sign, so it reminds me of my customers to
Constant reminder.
So one thing I like to do when I'm tuning vehicles is turn off all the parasitic power draws, because usually the flashes don't really require a battery tender too much. So I'll turn off the lights, I'll turn off the air conditioning, seat heaters if they're available. That way we can just keep nice voltage on the truck while we're getting them set up. So being a new 2023 model Tacoma, they all have the same new software as the 21 models. So okay. 21, mid model 21, 22, and 23 are all going to have the latest software already. Toyota hasn't made any changes to them. So we'll know that the software is already on the updated version. From here we can just kind of flash the tune and get them dialed in with our new settings. So right now we've remapped some throttles to make the initial takeoff a little bit more gradual, but we still have our different levels of throttle settings. We have our light, mild, medium, spicy, and so on settings. A lot of people are really liking our modified mild and medium setting. It's a really good, comfortable, all-around daily driving setting. Again, when you press the ECT button with an automatic, you get the next throttle level up, which we'll demonstrate in this vehicle in a little bit.
Wow. Nice.
Alright, flash is complete. We're going to go ahead and start up this vehicle.
Let the fun begin.
Let it begin. Gift for you for something?
It was, yeah. She surprised me. She's like, hey, we're going to get your truck tuned. And I was like, okay, all right, that's fine with me, I guess.
Let me grab your keys. But yeah, it was really sweet how she reached out and said, hey, this is from husband. So it is on the original software. Right now it's just going through a check to verify the old software version and the new software version to see, make sure everything's compatible.
I'm excited to see what it really does. So, you know, the gears were a big upgrade in the
Definitely.
so.
So gears and tunes are two different things, and they address different issues. Tuning addresses your throttle, your shifting, the actual engine power and torque, kind of remaps all that together, your shift points. The gears is just physically, you know, torque reduction or torque multiplication. It just makes things, it just helps your truck move easier. But without telling the brains of the truck what the gears it has and what it's capable of, it doesn't really, it's basically doing an improper workout. All right, it's all done here.
Oh yeah, it's like there. That's crazy how much of a difference that is. I guess I'm just at a loss of words. I never thought that my truck would feel like that. You feel like you're driving a grandpa truck around when you're in the Tacoma.
Yeah.
That's at least how I put it, you know, putting around. But now this is like, I mean, that thing is getting up, it's going.
Isn't it amazing that just literally a tune, like you're not doing anything mechanically to your vehicle, it's literally just through the software.
Yeah, no, and you know, I was gonna do the pedal commander off of Amazon. Oh my man, it's right there. I was gonna do the pedal commander off of Amazon, but then, you know, the more I looked into it, you know, it's just, I mean, you're spending all that money, and you know, you're not necessarily, you know, guaranteed to get everything that you want out of it. But this, I mean, that's money well spent. I'm about to go up this hill, and I'm not screaming at 4,000, 5,000 RPMs.
Isn't that nice?
That's nice.
Are you in the military? Do you move quite often, or?
So I am in the military, and we move probably every 3 or 4 years.
Well, thank you for your service. What branch are you in, the Marine Corps?
Yeah, Marine Corps.
Right on, dude.
I appreciate it.
So how many years have you been in total?
I've been in total 8 years, so I'll probably make a career out of it. Really.
You're already almost halfway there.
Yeah, almost there. So, and then this will take me to 12, and you know, at that point I might as well just stay in the rest of the time.
That's awesome. We appreciate it, man. We thank you for your service.
Thank you for your
And Kelly, you been with Matt from the get-go, or did you guys meet in the beginning, in the middle?
So we've known each other ever since high school.
Cool.
Okay? And yeah, I joined him in Okinawa. It's been 6 years ago now.
Yep.
So it's been a while.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service. I know a military wife has got, in my opinion, sometimes the more difficult and harder job when her husband's deployed or away. So we thank you for all you put up with,
Thank
and
you.
we're blessed to have you guys on this channel.
Thank you very much for having us. I appreciate it.
First time getting your truck tuned? Have you used a
First
pedal
time.
commander, anything like that before?
Nothing, 100% stock. So used to that lag, transmission being a little confused.
Why did you go with the Overland Torque Tune?
Basically the great reviews.
Okay.
Like I could not find anything bad about it, and I waited months to see like what the deal was.
Yep.
Oh, this feels so much better. Like I love this truck, but it was the shifting that drove me crazy. Like, lack of power, whatever. The power was fine. It was never in the right gear.
Yep.
Like downshift, okay, we're starting to get going a little bit. Great. Upshift, fall on its face.
Sure.
Like just pulling out of the driveway right there was so much better.
And this is a 2018, you said?
2018.
Okay, so you've had
4x4 off-road.
how many miles do you have on it right now?
About 48,000.
And so you've been 48,000 miles with the stock tune.
Yeah, driving me crazy, and I love this truck. Everything about
Everything
it.
about it, yep.
Taking it all over, up to Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, Moab, everywhere. But it was just that, like, it always seemed a little confused. The transmission programming just didn't make sense.
Yep.
It's fantastic. This, like, really takes a great truck and makes it better.
Right.
Wow. There's none of that, like, little delay.
Yep.
Because that's the thing, it's not like I'm like trying to drive fast or anything. You just want to be able to like lightly get into the throttle. Like you don't want to have to like really gun it, have it downshift, start to go upshift, and then kind of hit that little bit of a pause. Where I live, like it's not even as much of a hill as this, and it does just fall on its face. And then downshift, and then the RPMs go up. Oh man, this is so much better. It's just smooth.
You know what?
It feels like my Land Cruiser, where
Okay.
it's just not confused. It's just, okay, you want to go up the hill. It really used to feel like somebody who was learning how to drive a manual, and it's like, hey man, don't upshift. This feels like an entirely new truck.
Yeah. And it's very organic. Like, it doesn't feel like the truck's being pushed too hard or
No.
that it's like jumpy. It feels so organic.
It feels, honestly, like it's better for the truck.
Yep,
Because
absolutely.
sitting there downshifting and going to 5,000 RPM when you don't need to, and then like bogging down almost to the point of like dieseling a little bit.
Yep.
That's not good for the truck.
No.
This is perfect. This feels perfect.
Yep.
Absolutely perfect. And I really waited for a long time.
I was gonna say, you lost almost 50,000 miles of nice driving.
Yeah, and that's what I've got a 2002 Land Cruiser, and we would take that on a lot of our road trips because we're just like, yeah, we just like how that thing, yeah, it doesn't get the best gas mileage, whatever, but it's just always smooth. Like
Yep.
I drive so much for work. I live up here, work all the way in Baja, go back and forth.
Wow.
I just don't want something that's not. This is dialed in. Like, I will never get rid of this truck with this tune. Yeah, that is 100% accurate. I know that it doesn't. This truck feels like it has 200 more horsepower.
Right?
It's smooth, it's easy to drive, it's predictable. And that was the thing before, and it's like, I drive for a living, it's just, it was hard to drive that thing smooth. That is fantastic. It's so smooth, it's so factory. Busy? Phenomenal. So much different. The little stuff pulling out onto the boulevard here, where before it would kind of like, you know what they do. It's like,
I tell people we don't build race cars. We really want to open up the potential of a well-built engine. It's an engine that Toyota uses in multiple platforms, Camrys, IS 350, and those are all great driving vehicles. But when they put it in Tacoma, it just like
Right.
nothing just seemed to work.
yeah, and that's what we were talking about. I'm like, it's not so much like a lack of power as much as just never in the right gear. Like, I don't know, like you wouldn't know how much power this thing had. It could have a lot more power, you wouldn't know, because if you're 2 gears too high, it's just not feeling good. That was fantastic. It's smooth, it feels like a truck, it feels like my Land Cruiser.
Awesome.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
All right, Q. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today and letting me actually hop in the seat with the people that had their trucks freshly tuned. I had a blast getting their reactions, and just kind of really cool to see their expressions and how they just kind of endorsed and just took the tune on right off the bat and just were super happy with it. There wasn't even a really adjustment period. Everybody that got in it was just like, wow, this is amazing. So a few questions for you from people on the channel that have been hitting me up with a lot of similar questions that I'm going to ask you, but also wanted to kind of take a little dive into your history with the Tacoma and whatnot. So, what got you started with the Tacoma compared to other vehicles?
So I came from a family with Tacomas. We've had first gens, second gens. I eventually wanted a third gen myself. I had a Toyota T100 before, so Toyota trucks has always been in my family. We've had Toyota pickups with 22 REs. So what sold me on Tacomas was definitely the name, the reliability, and pretty much a really solid truck that everybody loves with great resale value.
In regards to tuning vehicles, was getting into the Overland Torque Tune like your first time really tuning, or do you have a history of like tuning vehicles, or what did that look like?
So I have tuned other vehicles before I even had my Tacoma. I have an old Datsun that I've done motor work and got tuning into that. Got away from it for a while, got back into a third gen Tacoma and realized that this had drivability issues. So I wanted to tune my truck with what was available and with the current software, which is the VF Tuner software. So after tuning with the VF Tuner software, putting OV Tune on my truck, I used to offer KD Max for a short period of time and realized that that wasn't the product that I really enjoyed as much. So we got together with the Overland Torque Tune guys and really kind of developed and built a really user-friendly, really fun truck to drive. not to say that one other product is better than the other, but it just seemed like the flavor of OTT was just kind of my preference, and was what I wanted to offer to my customers.
And how many tacos have you tuned? How many Tacomas have you tuned from when you started to now?
We'll say it's definitely in the hundreds. I've been tuning for about 2.5 years, and just a couple hundred trucks a year is really a big impact on the Southern California Tacoma community. It's such a fun truck to drive now with OTT that it spreads like wildfire.
Yeah, and you mentioned when you were working with the KD Max tune, and this is not to throw water on the KD Max tune by any means, but when you made the transition, you were saying how you weren't getting as much enjoyment, or maybe you weren't seeing something that you saw in the Overland Torque Tune. What was the biggest difference, in your opinion, with the KD Max compared to the Overland Torque Tune, and why you made that jump or that transition?
To put it in a fair way, I think just a lot of the Overland Torque Tune's tuning philosophy is more of a scientific approach that I stand behind and I back up. We do a lot of dyno testing. We build supercharged tunes. We do a lot of other vehicles, pull a lot of knowledge from 20 or 30 years of experience from multiple guys building the Overland Torque Tune.
Yep.
Whereas the KD Max tune for me personally just wasn't to my flavor. I just really didn't like, not to say didn't like, but just the tuning philosophy just wasn't for me and how I wanted to push my vehicle.
Got it. Now, speaking of flavors, the Overland Torque Tune has a variety of flavors, and to my understanding, it's light, mild, medium spicy, and what, extra spicy, or what do you guys call that?
So we kind of have, I always kind of pull in my hand to kind of show the different levels of our tune. For our third gen Tacomas, we go, since there's an ECT button, we can program 2 modes. So we normally go light and mild, or mild and medium spicy, and spicy and super spicy. And if you really wanted a race-like throttle, that's even a level up here that I almost never put on any of our customers because it's too sensitive. But we normally find with our current throttle mapping that a lot of people really enjoy our updated mild and medium setting. That's kind of our most popular flavor for throttle setting at this current moment. Gives the most drivability, most sensitivity, but also we don't want things to be too sensitive off-road because having control off-road and maintaining control and grip is very important. So that's kind of a nice place to start. And obviously the ECT button kind of brings it up to our medium, which kind of makes you a little bit more sporty, a little bit more fun.
Sure. Now, can you mix and match flavors? So if you wanted to do like super spicy or whatever on the regular and then go light on the ECT, can you guys do that, or does it have to be within that light, mild, medium type of structure?
So if you go out of our standard pairings per se, or throttles, we can build you a custom setting that may or may not be an extra charge depending on what you're asking. We can do custom throttle settings available.
Okay.
Just to know that every tuner is going to be a little bit different on that.
Sure.
But yes, you could theoretically have two settings that are a little bit off from each other, like maybe mild and spicy. But it's again, it's personal preference. We always invite that you guys try a base setting first because we've really done the homework and mapped it out for people.
Yep.
Start there before you explore with a custom setting that you're not really aware of what the tune does.
Sure. Okay. Very good. Can you use a pedal commander or a sprint booster with the tune? Will it make it any better? I know when I think I got the tune done originally, there was a little disclaimer saying you don't need it, don't use it, actually, I think was the recommendation.
Correct.
If someone runs it, will it damage their truck? What has been kind of like your opinion and your experience with that?
There's no damage associated with it. The only problems that you could potentially have with running any kind of throttle amplifier, such as, like you mentioned, pedal commander, sprint booster, etc., our settings are already raised up, and when you combine that with a throttle controller, you could multiply that to an unsafe level. What would happen is your computer will actually go into limp mode. It'll throw a check engine light, and why that's happening is because the ECU is sensing too much throttle over a safe, predetermined limit, and will just cut yourself off from potentially damaging your your truck or vehicle.
Okay.
So it will throw it into limp mode, which is why we always say to remove any throttle controllers beforehand.
Yep.
Would probably give you a more organic feeling to when you get your truck tuned to kind of see the differences as well.
Got it. Now, kind of piggybacking off of that, I'd say probably the number one reason people don't want to get the tune is because they always say, oh, it's going to break your truck, it's going to cause damage, you know, these guys don't know what they're doing. Have you ever experienced, you know, what? Let me put it this way: if somebody were to get a tune done on their vehicle, on their Tacoma, and it caused some damage to it, what did that tuner most likely do wrong? What happened? Have you even heard of somebody doing that? Because I mean, I know there's all sorts of people that might just do it from the garage and not have a lot of experience, and I could see there being, you know, an issue or a recipe for disaster happening there. What's been your experience with that? What could go wrong, and why do people have this fear?
So one thing is we really thoroughly test everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we've tested things on our vehicles. We have, you know, numerous amounts of tuners within our own group that we're able to get a big sample of trial and error. So we test everything on our vehicles, make sure it's safe. I personally haven't had a single issue with any of my customers. I haven't heard of any with the Overland Torque Tune. And I think that's one reason why it's so popular is that, you know, our tunes are really safe. And you and other people that have driven them, I've had customers on the tune for 50 or 60,000 miles. I've tuned trucks that have had 190,000 miles on them without a tune. You can get the tune and just say how much better it is. Now, after getting in one of our tuned vehicles, you'll notice that the transmission is shifting so much smoother. It's a lot less clunky, it's a lot less jerky. And that alone is going to increase the life of your transmission in itself. So marry that with what we do with the engine and the rest of the vehicle, we haven't had a single issue. If there is an issue related to the tune, please let us know. But a lot of times people get things done such as tuning, and then another issue happens and they immediately associate that other issue with the tune.
Okay.
So it's mechanics doesn't change. So you have to figure out what the issue is, what caused it. People get codes all the time and they say, hey, is it related to my tune? Well, we don't know because we haven't checked your physical codes to see what they are.
Mm-hmm.
More than likely, it's probably not related, but diagnosing what your check engine light is the very first step of maintenance before we determine what the problem is.
Got it. Okay. No, that's great. I appreciate that. Now, you know, just to kind of make sure I'm understanding when it comes to mileage, there's never too high of a mileage, correct?
No, not at all.
So someone that's got 150,000 miles on their truck, no problem. Same for manual as well?
Same for autos or manuals, whether you have 5 miles or, you know, 5,000 or 50,000 miles. It really shouldn't play a factor into when you should get your truck tuned. Now, your own personal philosophies could change.
Sure.
But I've tuned trucks at the dealership, brand new. People haven't driven them off the lot. They already know what they want because of our feedback and how we've done it. So between 10 miles to 150,000 miles, I've tuned them all, and they've all benefited. A lot of them, especially with the higher mileage vehicles, said, I wish I would have done this sooner because of how much better my engine feels.
Sure. All right. So in regards to the tune, are there any new versions coming out? I get asked all the time, like, hey, do you think they're going to put out like a new type of a tune? Is there anything that you can, you know, talk about right now, or maybe not talk about, that the Overland Taylor team's working on? Or is it going to just pretty much be it is what it is until the 4th gen comes out?
You know, we always will work on things the best of our abilities.
Kind of like refine them, essentially?
Yeah, we're always refining things.
Okay.
Since we have such a wide variety of vehicles that we tune, we're working on multiple projects in different stages at all the time.
Sure.
You know, we tune everything from Lexus GXs to Tundras to 4Runners, FJs. As far as the 4th generation Tacoma, we don't have our hands on one. The software is we're only as good as what the software can or cannot do.
Sure.
So if the software doesn't support the vehicle or doesn't have, you know, a full amount of maps, then we have to verify that to make sure that we build the right product. Because if it's only missing half the tables that we can tune, it's a project that we don't want to offer because it's not complete yet.
Sure. Okay. Now, for the 4th gen, are you guys planning to do some tuning with that bad boy when it comes out, or what are your guys' thoughts on it?
we'll get our hands on a truck, but again, it goes back down to the software support.
Okay.
If we can't find software that will support tuning the 4th gen, we have to wait to see when and if that's going to be available.
Perfect.
For example, the 22 Tundras on up, they've been out for about 2 years already, and we still haven't had the ability to tune them because there's no software support.
Got it.
It could be due to the fact that Toyota has these ECUs locked down really well, and that until someone gets their hand on a 4th gen, we don't know.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I mean, how long did it take for you guys? How long was the 3rd gen out before the Overland Torque Tune was actually ready to rock and roll and be plugged into these?
The Overland Torque Tune has been out for actually quite some time, almost as long or longer than KD Max has been out. It just wasn't really a big public tune because it was kind of developed by a gentleman in Alabama for his local customers. As more of us teamed up with him, we kind of expanded that brand and grew it to what it is today. And then we started doing more development, more products.
Is there anything that you would like to say to anyone that's still on the fence about their, getting a tune or not getting a tune? Is there anything you'd like to talk about in regards to the Overland Torque Tune that is not talked about by people like myself or other tuners that you think would be helpful for the viewer?
Yeah, definitely a couple things I want to touch on is that it's never too late or too early to tune a vehicle. As soon as you tune it, you'll notice, why that is, because it's such a different driving vehicle. We get a lot of customers that say it feels like a new truck, feels like someone put a new engine in my vehicle, etc., etc. The other point is that we also operate as individual tuners and as a whole network. So we service a lot of military veterans who get relocated from one state to another, and we will stand by all of our customers and support our customers no matter where they go, as long as there's a tuner nearby.
Cool.
So that's another cool fringe benefit.
So if you got your truck, if I got my truck tuned by you
Right.
and moved to Florida, for example, the other tuner there would take care of me, most likely.
Definitely.
Now, do you have to pay my separate fee, or does that fee that I just paid you originally cover all that? How does that typically work? Just so that they know or have an idea.
We typically will, as long as the customer can get to the tuner, we'll definitely take care of them.
Okay.
But for example, if you move to Florida and you're still 2 hours away and the tuner has to drive to you, then it'd be nice to
Compensate some gas money a little bit.
A little bit of beer funds would go a long way. But yeah, just make an honest effort to come out to any tuner, get in contact with your original tuner to make the connection for you, to verify that you have been tuned. This is who you are, and then we'll get the wheels in motion to take care of them.
Great. Anything else you wanted to touch on outside of that?
Go to overlandtailor.com, find your nearest tuner, get hooked up, and rock and roll.
Awesome. Q, once again, thank you so much for having me out today to meet these fellow taco owners. Thank you for doing this interview. I think it's really going to help a lot of people that are still on the fence or just trying to get more information about it. They might even have the tune already and they're still trying to understand it, so I appreciate it.
Definitely.
And that's a wrap. A huge shout out and thank you to Q, Matt, Kelly, and Josh for letting me be a part of their tuning experience, guys. If you have any questions in the comment section, I'll be talking to you soon. See ya.